Hello, welcome to the stream. Today I am just going to be animating a shot. I have a shot that I have a storyboard for, which can technically be construed as reference, but I have nothing else. I have no video footage or anything like that, so I thought I'd try and animate it live, at least part of it, like blocking it out, and see how far we go. And it's a good little discussion to have along the way as well. I was thinking about making this into a video unto itself, but I figured it'd be more fun to just work through it together as I and talk about it as I bring this stuff up. So yeah, for those who are here, thank you for joining. Other than that, I'm going to jump right in. So in last week, I animated this shot. I at least fixed up this shot. Because it was looking like it wasn't really working that well with the previous shot. So if you saw this on Twitch or whatever, or Twitter or whatever, you may have seen the finished result. Otherwise, here's the finished result from last week's shot. And this has always been a problem shot for me, like just the timing and the positioning and the framing and all that sort of stuff. But this is the shot I animated last week. And yeah, as you can see, there's the old model there into the next shot. So it hooks up really nicely now. So I'm really happy with that. Obviously, I have to change the model in the the next one and fix up the animation there, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. But yeah, I'm really happy with her hair. I like her new hair. So that's looking pretty cool. For those online, thank you for joining. So I'm going to actually be animating the next shot. So this part here. So we see a little bit of the wolf. And now I want to go into this shot here. And yeah, I thought I'd just try and animate it without any video reference. Because one, I don't have a little kid around to walk you through some bars. And two, I am also a horrible actor. So filming footage of myself doing this sort of stuff is not the best. You don't get good results. You don't get great results when you can't act. Bad acting translates to bad animation pretty easily. So I'm gonna just go and wing it. So I'm gonna save that for now and jump right into Blender. So yeah, here's the file. There's a scene that I had from before. So I'm actually gonna duplicate this scene and just start with whatever the framing was at the end. So 163, I think, was the last frame. Frame 1, I think it was. Oh, that's the camera sweat change. Yeah, sorry. Let's just go all the way into the end of this shot. See how far we go. I think, oh, actually, it's like 600 and something. Sorry. 1, 2, and that's where the end of the shot is. 535. That's right. So the next shot is basically the same position of the camera at the beginning, at the very least. So I don't want to have to rebuild this scene. I could go ahead and add a new scene here and create a new scene, but I don't really want to. It's harder to organize, I find, using the scene thingy here. So I'm going to duplicate this file, remove the animation I have in here, and then start with a fresh positioning. So basically starting from this pose at frame 0, I'm going to animate them, or the girl, jumping through the bar. So I'm going to see what we can do here. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this as. And what would be the right scene number here? Because now it's all mixed up. So what are you going to do? Top down run. Specs intro. It's completely out of sync at this point. Let's see what we can do. So this is 15 drop scale. I could make it 16 again. Specs entrance. Girl looks up at Evie. Technically it's scene 16. Yeah. Alright, we'll go with scene 16. And girl, let's rename this as girl goes through the bars. Girl goes through bars. And save that as. For those who are online, feel free to say hello and have a chat. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away. This is not like a, a formal thing. So, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. Hey, how you doing? And hopefully you can hear me for one. I can never tell with these streams if you can hear me, but the microphone's working at least, so I can see it's working, but I'm not sure if it's transmitting. It should be. Okay, cool. So we got the shot here. I'm gonna go ahead and keyframe that scene. I'm gonna turn off her deform joints so I don't keyframe those by accident. Copy that and keyframe that last shot. So you can see there's a bunch of keyframes there. Keyframe everything there. And I'm just going to delete everything else. Delete all of it. Make sure that anything that's invisible is visible. Yep, brilliant. Thanks for the heads up, 32RQ. Okay, delete those keyframes. From here, I'm going to keyframe all of her joints as well. Make sure everything else is keyframed. I like to make sure I keyframe every control. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete those keyframes as well because I don't need them anymore. Making sure that everything's visible, of course. I don't know, sometimes even if they're sometimes they get deleted, sometimes they don't. So it's always a good idea to make sure that's the case. Delete those. And delete those. Oh, cheers. Yeah, I haven't been on much either, so it doesn't help. So yeah, this is the first stream I've done other than last week in a long time. So yeah. Ah, cool. Thanks for the bits. I'm not sure. I actually don't know what they do. I have no idea yet. But yeah, cheers. Cool. So we got that going on there. That's good. Now the whole shot is not animating, which is great. There is some movement there, somewhat, still, for some reason. In the hair. Ah, the hair joints. Yes, they are still animating because I forgot to unhide them. So I'm just going to go ahead and select everything there as well. And delete those. And now I got myself a fresh scene-ish. All right, cool. So I'm going to get my reference here, if you want to call it reference, basically my storyboard, not video reference, and work through the shot. So the shot is, according to my storyboard at least, it is, let's see, let's switch over to frames. It starts at let's grab the calculator. So it starts at 2,220 and ends at least in context with my film, it ends at 323. It's about 100 frames. Okay, cool. It's almost 100 frames, so it's going to go with 100 frames. I do have a Discord, but it's under my Patreon. So right now, I only got a private Discord. You can sign up to Patreon and get Discord privileges. It's $5 a month. It's pretty quiet at the moment. I only literally set it up last week, so it's really new. But yeah, I'm hoping to, hopefully that comes to life a bit more in the next couple of weeks. Cool. I am working on 24 frames a second. With regards to animation, it's still safer to work, in my opinion, to work at 24 frames a second over, say, 30. This is not a video game, so I'm not going to do that. And it's easier to animate. It's easier to divide certain things like walk cycles and stuff to get the timing right, and it looks nicer. And if you want to downsample it to animate on 2s, it goes instantly, naturally into the 12 frames a second that you get from older films, like traditional animation, which is something I've been playing with on and off with this film. All right, cool. So we got the shot here. The camera is still moving there as well, so I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, generally speaking, that's the case. If I was animating for an Australian TV series or something like that, it'd be 25 frames a second. But yeah, I'm not doing that because I live in a digital world. So why would I do that? So yeah, that's how I'm operating at the moment. All right, cool. Let's grab the camera. So which camera am I working with today? Let's see. There's the camera here. And I'm just going to remove the keyframes from that as well, just for now. Cool. All right, so that's kind of set up to what I need. I do need to have another camera at the start here. So there's a close-up of Evie at the start of this animation. I'm going to remove all the extra stuff as well. So I'm going to turn off the lighting, turn off the environment, and turn off the rain. Everything else is turned off. That's good. So you can see it's running a lot better now, 20 frames a second. So that's good. So now what I'm going to do is set up a close-up shot first before I start animating. So I'm just going to work out my cameras first. So that camera shot in my Premiere file, I think it only goes for like a second. Let's double check. 220 to 230. So yeah, 20 frames. So yeah, I'm just going to go to 20 frames. I'm going to remove my markers here. I don't need them. I'm going to make a new set of markers because I'm going to use it as a camera switcher. So I'm going to delete those markers here. I'm going to change my start and end to 100 frames. And then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to frame 20, add a new marker. And I'm going to put a marker at frame 1 as well, make a marker there. And I'm going to rename that as camera 1 and camera 2. So marker, you can rename the marker here, cam 1. And here, I'm going to make another marker and call that cam 2. All right, cool, that'll do. Doesn't matter about the naming, who cares if it's got a space bar or not. So cam 2 will be the one at the bottom, and cam 1 will be another camera. I can actually use this one here and just move it into place. Will be this camera here, and you can actually link the markers to the cameras. So what I'm going to do is link the marker to the selected camera here, bind camera to marker, and you can see here now it's fully bound. And now if I go to camera 2, click on the marker, then click on my other camera and say bind to marker, you'll see that as soon as I go from past that marker, the camera will switch. So much nicer. Cool. So now I can position this camera into place with the right focal length and all that sort of stuff. Making sure there's no animation there either. It looks like there is some animation there. Delete that keyframe. Go to frame 1. And I'm just going to place the camera where I need to. So I'm going to grab this and just rotate it into place. And of course, it's a bit, the length of the lens is quite large. So I'm going to go and, yeah, 35mm looks okay for that shot. And I'm going to lift it up and just get the framing right first. So I want to be outside the bars for this one and pretty close up to Evie's face. Because on the background, we should be seeing the wolf in the distance. Hopefully, when I render it, it will look like it's there. Ah, come on, just do your thing. So it should be somewhat like that according to the framing of my shot. So I want to get it into the left in that third. So something like that would be fine. I don't like her head sort of being clipped at the top, so I might bring up that camera a little bit. Ah, shit, wrong camera. This one. And there we go. Maybe you pull it back just a tad. Can I pull it back just a tad? Probably not, because the bars are in the way. Let's have a look. Yep, they're really close. Yeah, rotate that a little bit. That looks better. Cool. I don't want to really animate the camera at all at this point because it's a pretty still shot. All I want to do is have her look backwards and then look forwards to where she is now, and then dip her head into the next shot to help the girl get into the bar. So going into the storyboard here, I wanted to turn her head and then go down into the bar and then behind the grate. That's basically what the shot is. And even a shot like this has a lot of complexity going on. There's the girl jumping through the bar. There's a hookup of the camera, making sure the animation looks clean, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to start by blocking out the pose here. Save that file. And let's see what we can do. All right. So what I'm going to do is firstly keyframe this entire rig. I'm going to keyframe at frame 20. That's kind of where I need her to be anyway. Maybe a bit lower toward the girl, but otherwise that's okay. And I'm going to change at least for now, the interpolation of the animation to stepped, or in terms of Blender, I think it has another term. Let me just zoom out. So I gotta zoom into my bloody keyframes. Where are we? We're way off. There we are. All right, cool. There we go. There's our shot. Cool. Now you may notice that in Blender that when you have a lot of controllers selected, it runs like shit. But if you just turn off the selection, the zooming works a lot better. It's a weird performance bug in the thing. All right, cool. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and get her posed up. So back to frame 1, select everything, Control T, or just T, and I want to go to constant interpolation for now across all my keyframes, T and constant, and that's basically the same as stepped in Maya, because what I want to do is basically emulate the shot where she's looking that way in the previous animation. So body's tilted a little bit that way. Torso's tilted that way a little bit. Head is tilted that way a little bit. And I'm just going to work out the emotion in her face. Which do you have a preference to use? Which app do I use to animate? Well, I basically do everything I do basically is in Blender. It's just a matter of convenience and cost. But I do use Maya every now and then for stuff. I use a lot of Maya for teaching, obviously. But for my own personal stuff, it's mostly just Blender because, yeah, again, ease of use, ease of accessibility, and it runs really well. Although Maya does perform better with its caching. It does animation caching, which makes it really fast. Cool. Liz Enog asks, hello, I was watching an animated show and one shot felt way more smooth than the rest, so I assume it was animated in ones, but I checked it was in twos like the rest of the show. How is it that the same amount of frames can feel so different? Um, Good question. I think it's just a matter of direction, really, and it's also a matter of how fast the action is. So if the action is fast, I feel like you're less likely to be. Maybe it's the other way around. It depends on what you're watching, but the speed and the breadth of the animation can make the animation feel softer or faster. Um, but yeah, it's a good question. It could just be an optical illusion as well. If you went for the cost, do you think Mayo is better? Not really. It's not really. Uh, it's good for some things, not great for many things, but it's amazing for rigging. Put it that way. It's an amazing rigging tool. It's an amazing tool for building customized stuff, very customized stuff. But for the average person who may be working on a Unity game or something like that, or something low budget, it's the you're not going to use half of those features, and it's not really worth the money unless you're doing really advanced stuff. Maya is king of advanced things, like doing advanced animations, advanced rigging techniques, and all sort of stuff. But I'd say for anything more basic, like modeling, or and it's the thing, modeling in Blender is probably more powerful than Maya at this stage, honestly. Especially with the geometry nodes, far more powerful than the basic tool set in Maya, unless you have a bunch of plugins, of course. But in terms of everything else, Blender is still pretty much on par. I would argue. All right, cool. And good morning, Root Soup. Thanks for joining. It's afternoon here in Australia, so it's a bit different. We're at 2 p.m. here, and I'll probably go for about an hour today, animating some stuff. But yeah, I figured I'd talk about animating without reference because a lot of the time, uh, you just don't have it for certain things, and it can be quite difficult to animate without reference, but it's not impossible. Um, Obviously, I would always argue that having reference is going to be better. But again, if you're the one acting it and you're not a good actor, um, bad acting translates to bad animation pretty easily. And I've seen it happen with mocap as well. Yeah. Yeah, it's a quality of life plugin. So for instance, like in Maya, it's almost impossible to do something like, say I've got this eyebrow here, and I want to mirror that across to this eyebrow here, copy and Control Shift V. That's out of the box in Maya in Blender. That works, no question. But in Maya, that's something that requires a plugin, and the plugins are really expensive for something like as simple as that. But there's a reason behind it, and that's down to the fact that Blender can recognize symmetry through the namespaces of joints, even though they're not in the exact same location or rotation. Whereas Maya, I think it operates more on a location basis. Location, if the joint that was created is in the exact same spot that the mirror is in, then mirroring is easier. But in something like asymmetrical rigs, it's really, really hard to do mirroring poses because of that reason. So I think that's the reason why it's so tricky to get mirroring working in Maya. Yes, that would be correct. So BioQuan is correct there. Like you need to have a relatively sound understanding of how the body moves relative to one another, the different parts, to get a decent sort of pose um, in the animation. That's definitely the case, I think. Oops, you can see here I accidentally mirrored the position. I just want to mirror the eyes. So trying to make the eyes sort of look like they're rotating toward her, behind her back. So I might actually put that all the way across there. Open up her jaw. So it's a really simple little pose here. Trying to get some fear in those eyes. And you can see there's limitations in this rig as well. And I really want to, in the next, if I have the opportunity to make the next episode, I will definitely be changing her rig and somewhat to some extent her design as well, because it's a little bit limiting at the moment. Let's get those eyebrows up. And I might actually round out her eyes here. So that's the nice thing about having a blend shape sort of rig, is that you can do crazy stuff like that, where you can kind of open up her eyes a little bit more. And every now and then I might have to like turn on the render preview to see exactly what I'm doing. But for now, this will work fine. So I also might actually bring down her. Nah, it looks too much. Copy that, paste that. There we go. Might raise those up a little bit, the eyebrows. It really depends. We'll see how we go. That looks better. Raising up those corners. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. No worries. Thank you for joining, by the way. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for the nice words. Hi, what are you working on? Ninu. I'm not sure what that means. Is that a typo? You're new. I'm working on animating a short film, and this is a shot from that short film. So that's where this is all about. So I'm just animating a shot from that film. I've been doing it for ages, trying to get this stupid thing done, but life gets in the way constantly. So I'm just working through the pose. I might close her face like that. Let's have a look and see how that renders out first. I might turn on the lighting again. Let's get an idea of how that's looking. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Oh, thank you. You can check out a few other streams where I've done this stuff as well. I posted up on Twitter the final render from one of the shots I did. That looks good. That looks really good. I think the red in the eye it'll fix itself once I put the walls back in and stuff, I think. But that looks good. I like the look of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that as is. I'm going to keyframe all that just to make sure that's all good. Turn off the preview. Oh, thank you very much. And then I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next major pose. So the next major pose is just before she turns into the next shot. So I need her to look back. So I'm going to go ahead and start from the bottom of the body. So the COG, or the center of gravity. Rotate that back around a little bit. Rotate this part around a little bit as well. Bring down her face in direction of the girl again. And then bring the eyes back down as well. So bringing the eyes back down to, that looks so creepy. Back down to the girl. Resize her pupils so they don't look as creepy. And focus down on, bring the focus back down onto the girl. And you can see that already makes a big difference. Bring down the eyelids a little bit. And then just sort of get her to focus, refocus her attention back down to the girl. With a little bit of determination. So bring those eyebrows back down. What's she running for? Oh, wow. You have to find out. there are other elements you may see on my other streams where she's running away from an animal. But yeah, lots of stuff. I'm hoping to get this done before the end of the month, so hopefully you won't be able to wait too long to see what happens. So I'm just gonna get that going there. There we go. And now she's looking a lot more determined now. I might have her clench her jaw a little bit more and reset her mouth there as well. Alt G to reset that. Bring it back the mouth a little bit. Obviously, it all depends here how this is going to look in render, but yeah, there are some scenes where the NLA has been a real bitch to work with. That's for sure. I want to get that not looking so smiley in that shot. So that is where it matters. So even if you might look aggressive or okay down there, it's in the shot that matters. So just working with that in mind. All right, sweet. Let's have a look and see how that looks in render. Her mouth is looking a little bit low there, so I'm going to raise that up a little bit. Like so. Raise her teeth up as well because it looks a bit creepy. Ah, wrong one. And maybe bring her mouth in a little bit, like so as well. Here's the amazing thing about Eevee. It's just that you can actually do these edits in relative real time. Without really having to worry too much about performance problems, which is pretty cool. Obviously, I'm not going to play it back like as it is there. And you can see here, like I try to open her mouth maybe a little bit, but her teeth are too big. So again, just cheating away and animating her teeth to go down a little bit should help with that. So I can make these changes later if I have to. And if it's obvious that her teeth are sliding, then I will fix it. But as a blocking stage, we want to just get the pose in there as much as possible. So there we have the first pose. 1, 2, and you can see here 1, 2, and there's the pose there. So what I'm going to do there is copy this pose as well into the next frame because that's where the camera hooks up. So copy this pose here, paste this pose here. And it looks like completely out of it in this shot. This is what I mean by hooking it up and giving the assumption of how things could look. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and we would probably give this a bit more visual clarity there. 1, 2, and there we go. You can see you can actually read the transition there a little bit. And over here, the face looks completely out of whack. So you can see how different it looks from this angle here and why it matters to actually, change the pose, even though it looks like it's the same. I'm going to go ahead and repose that a little bit now. Okay. Has anyone had a chance to check out the latest video, by the way, about the about the dinosaur, or not the dinosaur, the dragon skeleton? If you have, what are your thoughts on it? I wouldn't mind hearing some thoughts on the process. If anyone's tried it, that'd be awesome. If anyone has already tried it. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and pose this now. Actually, I'm going to copy that whole thing again. Pose this here. And work like so. So now you can see here that the pose is looking pretty weird from that angle. So what I'm going to do is repose her to seem, the skeleton thing. Bring that down. And now let's have a look at my storyboard. This is the part where it gets tricky. So where does she start to sort of lean in and sort of help the girl get across the bar, because this is the screen, this is the shortcut, this is the reference frame in my storyboard. Again, I have no video reference. Go in, down, and then she has to sort of help the girl. So it might be easier to skip this frame first, go forward a little bit, and then get her into position. Ah, nice one. I'm glad you think it's interesting. I'm hoping that you guys give it a shot, because it's really fun and it's pretty easy to do too. All right, cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and lean her in. And maybe even bring her forward. And you can see here the back is completely screwed, so I might actually fix up her bum a little bit. Ah, there we go. Kind of fixes it. Not quite, but you know. Let's see if it actually makes a difference in the render though. Not really. Yeah, even my rigs aren't that great in terms of the bum crushing. And I probably have to build some sort of shape key if I really wanted to fix it. But I'm not going to, because I can't be fucked. So what I'm going to do is bring her arm up now to sort of into that similar sort of pose that's in my storyboard. So where are we? Closed it by accident. And this is, by the way, why it's so difficult to make animation tutorials, because there's so much consideration and thought that goes into just working out what to do, that like building a video series on this stuff is really difficult, I would say. Especially when you need to sort of make it interesting, like just showing blocking, it can be pretty tiresome. But yeah. All right, so let's get her arm up there. So her arm should be helping out the girl at this stage. So 30 frames in, gonna bring her arm up. I might even just reset the pose for now. There we go, a little bit like that. And bring her arm up to sort of stretch out to the girl. You can see here that the arm is pretty much broken at this point, because the pole vector, she doesn't have shoes. She doesn't have she doesn't have shoes in this animation. I didn't want to have shoes in it. Could be fucked modeling them. So logically, it still makes sense in the context of the film that she doesn't have shoes. So I'm not going to bother with them. Oh, well, thank you. That's the thing, right? I don't want it to be like, sometimes when I look at other tutorials on the matter, it's always in these ideal scenarios. And when it comes to animation, there really isn't such a thing as an ideal scenario, like everything just working out seamlessly. It just never works out that way. So that's another thing to be conscious of. All right, so I'm gonna bring her arm in like so. I'm gonna try and get her shoulder in there too, get some shoulder movement in there. Z, X, so get her shoulder in there. I'll have to rotate her upper body, and sort of have her stretching out. So you can see here, just by being conscious of even just the positioning of her entire body to move for that arm into that position, you kind of have to have the whole body work with it. That's where going back to the understanding of good body mechanics really helps. Obviously, of course, this would be a lot easier if I had good reference, but there is a crutch in this case where if you have good reference, the timing is still kind of will be off, because basically animation, when you animate actions a lot faster than how you would in reality. It doesn't matter what kind of film you're making. To get the point across faster, make it more interesting, you tend to animate at around 2 or 3 times the speed of a real action, I find. And that's why when you do rotoscoping, it looks so slow and weightless. Yeah, kind of stuck with topology videos, by the way. The best explain. All right, yeah, but yes, as soon as I can see your rest, yeah, for sure. No, of course. I'm hoping the retopology is going all right for you. So the girl, I kind of also have to pose out now. So I might actually get her. So she's kind of posed out the way I wanted to. Obviously, her eyes I might bring down to make her look a bit calmer at this point. But as a blocking, it's fine. She's looking a little bit cross-eyed there, or boss-eyed, so I might just reposition her eyes there a little bit. Close her jaw again. Basic sort of fix-ups. Ah, that's awesome. That's really good to hear. I'm glad that the sculpting stuff is working out for you. I'm going to bring that down a little bit again. Fix up the lips a little bit. Maybe get her into a bit more of a assertive facial expression. At least for now. I can always fix this up if I have to later. And I'm just going to move her eyes toward the girl a bit more obviously as she turns around. Cool. So that's where I kind of want the whole thing to be at the moment. And the real action that will lead the rest of the S animation will be the girl going through the bars. So what I'm going to do is work out the blocking for the girl first, leaving Evie as she is for now. And then I'm going to work out the stumble into the bars, like getting between the bars, and then jumping back down behind the grate. So that's the plan. So the rest of Evie's action will be informed by the girl. In reality, it would be the opposite. The Evie would be, helping the girl through, but it's a little bit easier to do it the opposite with me, in my opinion, with this animation this way. All right, cool. So starting from frame 20, I'm going to keep that frame as is. Then into frame 30, where the pose has changed, I want to basically work out where she needs to go. All right, sweet. So I'm going to hide away Evie's rig for now and not be bothered by it. So under my... Where are we? Where's her rig? Character rigs. I'm going to just hide away the rig for now. That way, no distractions. And with the girl in mind, I'm going to go ahead and work everything out. So you can see here, I've actually done a little bit of a cheat here as well. Her legs are sitting behind in the ground. Doesn't matter. You still can't tell behind that area there, so who cares? So now I'm just going to go ahead and position the girl to sort of be climbing up. And let's just reset her pose actually. I'm going to reset that rotations at the very least. Yep, that's better. So at least now it can actually sort of fit in place. That's good. And I'm going to bring the girl up somewhat. And sort of position her global controller to sort of sit in above that area there. So basically, Evie will almost have to lift her up through the bars before the girl can sort of grab onto things and then sort of jump back down. So I'm going to go ahead and position her. How would she do it? So now I'm just trying to figure out things because I don't have reference. So which way would she be leaning through? Well, visually, it'll just look better if she leans through this way because you'll see her face. So I'm going to lean her through that way. Now you can see here that we have a little bit of an issue is that the spiky area there is just about to hit her head. So she'll have to sort of lean into it somewhat like that. And hopefully her head could fit through as well. So there's that. I may have to change the bars a little bit. But there we have it. So there we go. I'm going to put her legs up into the location here. At least one in place. All right, cool. Might actually bring her body forward a bit further still. There we go. Get that knee bend in there. There we go. Her pole vector is over here, so I might actually bring that this way. So she can actually bend her knee that way. Get her foot rotated this way, just to make it a little bit more usable. All right, cool. And now I'm going to have to get her other foot. So basically I'm doing it based on poses. So I'm working out my poses first before I go into crazy spline period. Like so. Okay, there we go. So I'm assuming that she'll need to get her knees up. Her hands will have to basically be up on, probably on one of the poles, at least at one stage. So this one can come back up here. Again, sorry if you hear a cat meowing in the background. I'm not sure if you can, but it just wants attention. All right, cool. So here we go. All right, so cool. So it's already starting to look okay, I think. Still looks a bit stiff, but that's okay. But at least there's something going on. And I can work out the timing at the very least as well. So there's our other arm there. And Evie can pretty much just pick her up underneath the shoulders and sort of push her up. And then the girl can grab onto the pole, drop her head, and then sort of weave her way through. So you can see here's the first pose. I got to fix up her as well. So I got to step her animation as well. Constant, that's better. One. Again, those stupid keyframes. Keyframe, select everything. T, constant. Unfortunately, there's not a global switch for this in Blender, but other than using modifiers. Now, why are you transitioning like that? Because these are hidden. You can see what I mean. Sometimes they don't trigger everything. So you got to unhide these things. All right, cool. So we got one. This other stuff is also hidden. So we're going to unhide this stuff. Unhide. Unhide this. Unhide this. And this will kind of bring back the stepped animation. I think that's all of them. Select everything, T, constant, and that should fix the problem. 1, 2, that's better. That's all I want. 1, 2, 1, 2. I actually like her position of her eyes there. Her eyes, except the only thing is that I would need to just get her to focus on the entrance that she's going to sort of duck through. Like so. 1, 2. There we go. 1, 2. And then I don't know what the timing will be yet because I've only got 100 frames to work with. But I'm going to go ahead 10 frames again and sort of get her body to sort of duck forward and sideways. And hopefully her head could fit. If not, I have to remodel some parts of this stupid tunnel. At least fix up some parts. So her head kind of can't fit, but maybe for the shot, I might just like fake it. So luckily this thing is it's editable in the scene. So let's just move these apart a little bit. There's one, two. There's another one. All right, cool. Hopefully no one would notice that, but that makes it a little bit easier for her to sneak in through. These are all those considerations. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, about animation that you just don't see until you have to do them. Okay, cool. So yeah, the girl's in there. Let's just try and let's see what we got here. One, two, and now her other leg, this leg here, I might actually start to lift up higher as she's being lifted through the bar. And she may have to bring her foot really far forward. So sort of above, or at least around that bar. Making sure I've keyframed everything as well, of course. There we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Something like that. Get that pose in there. And you're basically just creating a 3D animatic at this stage. And really, rather than using reference, you're essentially trying to create the most appealing shapes that are on camera. There we go. That looks better. So now her other hand could kind of be over here on the bar. Again, I'm making assumptions here because it's just a really early blocking stage. So her hand would be there. Where's her shoulder control? It's somewhere around here. Let's turn off some crap. Let's turn off all this stuff here. Let's turn on the arms. Okay. Her arm is really far back. Okay, there we go. That fixes that. And now her other arm can be sort of coming down and kind of trying to sliver her way through the gap. Something like that. One, two, three. Now, in terms of like which leg would go forward, I'm not sure, honestly, when you're getting pushed through. So I'm going to keep it as is. Now, if you were doing a walk cycle, it would be opposite. So the other leg would be going forward. But in this case, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to work with that. So between these poses, actually, you'd have to have a dip, most likely as well. So I'm going to dip her down a little bit. 1, 2. I missed the control. This is the only problem with stepped animations, that you have to have everything. Anything you'd keyframe, you kind of have to move along with it. So there we go. 1, 2. All right, cool. So at this stage, she's still turning, and I could actually do a quick little cheat here. So I'm going to go ahead and push T, push linear for that animation just for now, and just see where she's going. Okay, cool. She's going there. So I'm just going to go like that and like that. So I want to have a dip first before she gets risen, so she can bring her head underneath that metal bar, essentially. So she really does have to dip quite a bit. Whoa. Something like that. And might have to actually pull it back a little bit. Let's have a look and see how that works. So she has to dip quite a bit to get underneath there. Now, I have no idea how it's going to look when it's splined, because it probably look like trash, but as long as her head is underneath that goddamn spiky bit, we should be all right. One, two, three, four. That looks better. One, two, three. There we go. One, two, three. One, two, three. So we're getting her to dip first. And you can see it in her knee as well. She's going to dip. Now, in this case, I might actually bring her leg back down again. Let's see. How can we do this? She may be like just having her foot lifted off from Evie. So maybe Evie's lifting her up now and just sort of rotating her body. So the goal now is just to make something that looks readable. So she gets up. So in this case, the leg I might actually bring down instead and just have it sort of fake it. There we go. That looks better. Grab the knee, bring that in like so, and just sort of see what we got here. So we got 1, 2, 3, and you can see there's animation keyframes there that otherwise aren't in there because there's a single frame change. There we go. Let's just move that into place. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back on the side. So the land will be the girl sort of landing in place on the other side of that bar. So there's probably going to be another 2 keyframe major poses here, at least for this transition into the bar. So I'm going to grab my global control, move her forward now. So she's sort of over the bar at this point. Obviously being helped by Evie sideways, continuing on with the trajectory. And you can kind of get the pose in there as well. Just get some sort of basic, interesting, dynamic pose going on there. I'm still working with IK in the arms because it's just easier for me to operate, in my opinion. There we go. That leg is now fully extended. This leg is now being lifted up as well. Again, it's really dependent on how we go with this whole thing. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, you can see the change here. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to get some sort of basic timing out of this. All right. Let's straighten her up now and bring her this way. And the camera would shift as well at this stage as well, but I'm not going to do that yet. All right, cool. Camera, there we go. Into place. This one goes here. Ish. Again, I'm making a lot of this up as I go along. There we go. You can kind of see that arc coming into play now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And this arm can kind of wrap around almost. And it can almost come into contact with the bar again. But I'm not sure. We'll see how we go. Sorry, I just didn't see all this other stuff come up um, on the multi-stream. I didn't realize there was some issues with the top chat. Sorry, my bad. There's a few other questions I missed because it looks like the multi-stream just sort of shit itself. Let me just have a look. It is too big. Sorry, let me have a look. Would you consider making a group chat for your YouTube student to share their study progress from your videos and ask solutions? I could possibly arrange something like that. It'd have to be a one-off, like a once a month sort of thing. I don't think I could be able to do that monthly or weekly, or in any case. The film is going to be about 3 minutes long. To answer your question, I do have a Discord. It's part of my Patreon. If you want to get if you want to get hooked up to that, the $5 Patreon I have is inclusive of Discord rights. Do you recommend practicing walk cycles and the like when the animation is crazy one-offs like this? No, yeah, for sure. Walk cycles, ball bounces, they're the essentials. You got to learn that stuff for sure. You won't be out. Learning a walk cycle will teach you how to do stuff like this. Basically, that's the answer I can give you. The hair will move and come and wrap around the bar once it's done. Black Curtain, when will it release? The answer is I'm not sure. Probably, hopefully, 2 months ish. Hopefully, I have to get the sound design done as well. Would I consider myself a Blender pro? I would consider myself a pro in some aspects and absolute amateur in other aspects. So I don't know how to use the node editor very well, for instance. I don't know how to script at all in Blender. I know how to animate, model, and do stuff like that. That's where I'm really good at inside of Blender. Your series on modeling and rigging were great. Can you do a series on making customizable characters like The Sims in other games where you can customize facial features, hair, body, clothes? I could do a video on how to do that. The answer is quite simple. You just have a nice base mesh and you build blend shapes for different. And thank you for the super chat. 32 RQ. But in terms of building out custom rigs that have all these different clothes and stuff, you kind of have to build out a bunch of drivers or stuff like that. But faces is pretty simple. Just a nice base mesh that you can sort of mold to your choosing, and you can make them female or male or whatever. It's pretty easy. Cool. All right, so what we got here? We got a land. And then what I might do is before she comes down to sort of rest on behind the lip of this sort of sewer entrance, I might have her completely turn around and have her hands on the bars on both sides. So her feet are she's basically going to do a 180. She's basically going to do a 180 as she comes back round through the bar. So like this, she's going to do a 180. And this is where gimbal lock will probably come into play and be an issue once I animate it. But a 180 in the Z. And then this foot will come around like so. This will also get a 180. Oops, too far. Let's reset that pose. 180 like so. In the Y in this case, where she will have her feet down like so. And then her body will come down like so, like there. Her pole vectors will come backwards again. Her body will come back like so. And her hands, you can see here, will be flipped. So one here And her pole vectors are again flipping. So that will come around here. And this one will come around here. And of course, this is going to be a real bitch to fix up. But I'm just going to get those poses in first before I do anything else. Because what we will end up having, I might actually copy this pose here. Bring it here. Copy this like so. Paste it at around this point here, maybe? Maybe not. Because her arm, oh, it's actually looking pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, that works out quite well. Yeah, cool. All right, so this will come back around like so into this pole. Like that. There we go. And now she's safe and sound behind the bars. All right, so we got these poses. Let's check them out. 1. There we go. That's looking okay. For a blocking, this is how I kind of work it out without reference. Obviously, there's going to be improvements involved. But as an early stage for blocking, I think it's coming along all right. I'm sorry the multi-stream didn't update. I don't know why it stopped on Streamlabs, but it just screwed up. So if I missed any chats on Discord, not Discord, sorry, on Twitch, I'm sorry. It just stopped working. And hopefully nothing else is syncing out incorrectly as well. So let's double check. Per character. Sorry, there was a missing chat. Per character doing a shaka sign with hand saying cool. I guess that's the okay, that's the GIF. Okay, it comes out in text on the chat. Okay, cool. All right. So we got these early stages done. All right, cool. And I might have her sort of settle. Actually, might be that's where the end of the shot will end up being. I'm not going to have her come behind the lip there. I could just cut to another shot where she has become behind that bar. I can have her sort of settle into a standing position a bit better. There we go, like that. Oh, thank you very much for the super chat, Harry D. Thank you very much, or the super thanks. Appreciate it. Is adding bones to hair necessary? Good question. And the answer is, in this case, with poly hair, yes, it's necessary. The reason it's necessary is because I've tried using simulation like a cloth sim or a soft body or something like that to help with these moments, but the reliability is pretty shit. It slows down the process, like the actual what do you call it? The feedback, like in the real-time feedback, is pretty bad. And basically anything that you'll have to have collide, you need to have in the scene as well. So the poles will have to have enough geometry to be able to collide with the hair, all that sort of crap. And it's just a real pain in the ass. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. So here we go. Here we got that pose in there, and then she comes into a recovery position. And I'm not going to worry about the feet because it's off camera. I'm actually not going to leave it as is. I'm actually going to... I know, right? Hair curves are going to be really cool. Rigging them, I'm not sure how you go about rigging hair curves, but if they can be rigged like a regular rig, then even better. So there we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. this pose here, so you can see where she's kind of come round there. I'm actually going to remove her hand here and then bring it sideways as she slides through the bar and fix up the pole vector. So where's her pole vector? In this case, it's all the way back here. So that should help there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool. And we've still got some frames left for a settle at the end, and I'm happy about that. So now that we've got these sort of poses in place, we can sort of refine the shapes a little bit, make sure everything's looking okay. So for instance, you can see here her foot looking kind of shit. So grab this pose here. Okay, so you can see here that in the pose, I've got an extra keyframe there that I haven't changed the foot on. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. Do I always block in step, or do I use spline blocking sometimes? Sometimes I just spline block for certain things. Like walk cycles, I'll just spline it. I won't bother with any hard stepped. I won't step it. The reason being because I always find that when I block out a walk cycle in stepped, I always miss a keyframe and it just looks like shit when I spline it, and it's just easier if I just knew exactly what was going on from the beginning. So I block in spline or in linear at the very least. For stuff like this, I'll block it out in stepped and then sort of figure out the issues afterwards because it's a pretty broad action. And it's just easier to me to focus on the initial sort of poses first. So for instance, her head, we could kind of get that going on there, and the hair could kind of hide the fact that her head is actually still going through the bar. So little tricks like that. That's where working in steps can kind of help. 1, 2, 3. So you can see there, we can kind of get that pose in there here. One, two, three. Okay, so going into that pose there. Yeah, modeling clothes is painful. That's probably one of my least favorite parts of modeling characters because it takes so long. 1, 2, 3. That looks better. You get a little bit of an arc there. And you can see that the head's now got a bit of an arc going on there. That looks way better. So you're still trying to figure out your arcs as well when you're doing this stuff like this. And you can see here, there we have a little issue. Now, this is the tricky part, is that her hand will have to squish between here. Yeah, I would say with clothes, try and keep it simple. If you're working on a very simple animation and you don't want to deal with the complexities of animating clothing, then keep it simple. Keep the clothing design simple. So her hand is going to come through first. There we go. That's kind of what I want to have, like get that balance in there. Hand is kind of come in. And this is the nice thing about working in a sort of stepped effect, is that you kind of work out these biomechanics pretty early on. So sort of like, okay, if her hand's there, that kind of has to come in through first. And you can kind of work out, okay, we have to squeeze that arm in first before it clips through the bar. There we go. And you can see now we have 1, 2, and I wouldn't mind getting a nice arc in there a bit further. Ah, shit. Sorry. There we go. Still working, still getting used to the Mac keyboard. We can kind of stretch that out a little bit, get an arc in there. So when she comes in, it kind of can swoop and then wrap around. Boom, 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 boom. And you can kind of see that sort of figure 8 swoop coming in through the arm. That will sort of guide the rest of the eye into that motion. Same thing with this leg. One, that comes out like so. As you can see here, the animation is the same across 1 and 2. Here, the leg can kind of be stretched out a bit further. There we go. Let's see if we can live with something like that. We'll see. And the nice thing again, the hand is kind of hiding the fact that we may clip through the bar. So a few little tricks of the eye will help with that. 1. There we go. So here, 1, 2. Okay, so here, the hand is on the same frame. So what I'm going to do is grab this frame here and copy that to this frame here. Oops, wrong one. Copy, paste. And that will look a little bit better. There we go. And as she gets through the bar, her hand can rise up the bar a little bit. As she stabilizes, up, 2. One, 2, 3. And that looks better already. See how I can stabilize her hand? Stabilizes her body. And as she comes into the settle, her arms can kind of tuck in a little bit more. And we can use the pole vectors for that one, like so. And bring that one in like so. There we go. So that's looking pretty cool. All right, cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Apologies again. If anyone who's chatting through Twitch, I'm not sure if anyone is, and it's not getting through, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the hell's going on. It just stopped working. Cool. There we go. You can kind of see a little bit of a little bit of settle as she recovers from that impact, and then back up. Boom. That looks pretty nice. I'm going to save that. I'm just going to do a little preview and see where all the issues may lie with the arm, with the whole thing. I'm going to select the entire rig this time, and then in the key, in either the dope sheet or timeline, or in the graph editor, select everything, push T, and then Bezier. Let's see what happens now. It's probably going to look like absolute trash. It's actually not too bad. Bit of a whip there. You can kind of see what I mean by the whip there. So basically what that means is that we will have to change the timing of that to feel a little bit more natural. So I'm going to go ahead and select everything there and just bring that all the way back here. And that feels, yeah, much better. So already almost the timing of our 100 frames is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, the timing overall. That's looking pretty good. There's a few little wiggly bits. I actually don't mind the little wiggle there. Little wiggle there. That little wiggle there. It's looking pretty good. Like the way she's sort of lifting her body. Cool. And yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Yeah, happy with that. And when she sort of lands I can probably change this timing of this a little bit so she has a bit more impact. The goal here is not to change the timing of the shot. So I don't want to make the timing of the shot longer to compensate. I'm working with the keyframes I have to get the best result. Ah, yeah. I do see it in the actual chat window on the live stream. I see the Twitch chat test there. So that worked in the Twitch chat, but it didn't work in the it doesn't work in my multi-stream chat for some reason. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it is working. You can see it in the video. There we go. Boom. A little bit of a little bit of jump there. Cool. All right. Pretty happy with that. I'm quite happy with that. So with that in mind, I might wrap it up there. And if I have some more time tomorrow, I might continue this live stream, or I might show you the more refined result of this in the next stream as well. So or I might just turn that into a video. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, all depending on the time I have, and plus it will give us a time to recover the horrible issue with the Twitch chat not working. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. That was fun. I just wanted to show you as well that it is possible to animate without reference. You just got to have a sound idea of what you're doing, and usually that comes from a storyboard of some sort or an animatic. Everything else can be achieved without reference. It's just a matter of you having a decent understanding of what you need to do and the timing constraints you have. And then after that, you can probably sort of work your way through it and get feedback and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, ideally, you'd want to have some sort of reference, but you know, it can be tough to find good reference in this world, especially when it comes to very specific actions such as this. But anyway, I'll let you guys go. I'll catch you guys in the next stream, hopefully in a day or two. And thank you for everyone who gave their thanks and super chats and bits. Love it, and I appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Cheers.